Yo, 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 what's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Empire Jeff TV. I am your host, Empire Jeff, coming to you on a Monday night, live from Los Angeles, California, man. No Laker preseason games today. Nothing really going on today, but wanted to pull up to talk. I wasn't able to really do a Laker post-game stream last night due to NFL, the Dodgers playoffs, and everything from there. Had to do a Dodger post game, man, after that brutal loss. But we're here to talk Lake Show today. I do apologize. My voice is kind of cracking in and out due to those same Dodgers going to Dodger games, being at a stadium, talking my trash, being loud. My voice is somewhat in recovery mode as a result of that. So bear with me here as I wait for my voice to get back into true form here. But hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Hope everyone had a good Monday. And here to talk, like I said, Los Angeles Lakers basketball and my annual, typical, same kind of narrative when it comes to Anthony Davis. And I continue to and will continue to, every season for as long as Anthony Davis is a Laker and in his prime, continue to say that in order for this team to have any type of season I feel that we would be happy with, then Anthony Davis has to be a strong MVP candidate, a strong one. And if Anthony Davis is a strong MVP candidate, that means the Lakers are a top 4 or 5 seed in the West. And the voters almost have no choice but to vote him in as one of the top guys. Now, he doesn't have to win it. He does not have to win an MVP, but he has to be in the running. And no matter how great of a season you have, no matter how great offensively, defensively, collectively, no matter how great of a season you have, if your team is competing for a play-in, they're just not going to have you in consideration. Just the way it is. It's just the nature of the basketball voting culture in this era. It's just the way about how they go about it. Anthony Davis is not going to be in consideration for postseason awards. They give him out in the postseason. So regular season awards that get given out in the postseason, he won't be in conversations for that if the Lakers are fighting for a play-in spot most of the year again. So that definitely won't happen. So Anthony Davis needs to be a monster again. I felt he had a monster season last year, but they didn't always lead to wins when he had monster games. And in order for AD to continue to be like the head of the offense and anchor the defense, the rest of the guys are going to have to do their part. So an MVP, for the most of the time, has to elevate the play of others as well. And can Anthony Davis do that? That remains to be seen, right? But as far as if LeBron James is our MVP candidate, as far as like the guy that if they're in the top seed, he's the reason why, then we are in for a lot of trouble, basically. And Anthony Davis has all the abilities to be an MVP candidate. Now, this team might not have all the parts to contribute to that, but if AD is playing at an MVP level, if LeBron James is playing at a high level like he did last year, and we're getting something from these role players and the coaching staff is getting the best abilities out of these guys and it's showing on the floor and it's translating to wins, then I do believe that the front office will go a little bit more than what they're willing to pay right now via trade to help and save this team. They wouldn't do it last year. They were not saving this team last year. We knew that. They weren't going to sit back and save this team in the offseason and overpay. But if the Lakers see something, and Coach JJ Redick, his staff, LeBron, AD, all of them are kind of pressuring Pelinka, but like, look, we're all in here. You can see it on the floor. We've got some good guys here, but it's not enough. We're getting off to a better start than we did the last 2 seasons. We have buy-in. It's time to do what you can to add to this team. And then maybe Rob looks and it's like, okay, maybe I'm willing to do a deal that I'm not really to do before because I just didn't want to give up the assets when I didn't know what I had on the floor. If Braun stays healthy, if AD staying healthy, if Gabe Vincent is healthy, if Rui is healthy, if D'Lo and Reeves improve in some areas, if Dalton Connect is a contributor, which I think he will be, if Christian Wood somehow can impact this team outside of a handful of games he did last season, like these are a lot of things that are kind of in wait and see mode, and we're going to have to determine, do these things play out? But it seems like a lot of people are just of the opinion that just by removing Ham, that everything's going to fall in order. And that's not going to be the case. It's not going to be enough. Even if these guys do everything that I've mentioned. It's still not going to be enough. This team is currently constructed as not a contender. They're going to need to add to it. That's for sure. So we don't know what this team is yet because we don't know who this team will be come February. We don't know. Now, as far as what this team is as currently constructed, to me, it's a non-contender. But it doesn't mean that if Anthony Davis is playing at an MVP level, the Lakers are winning games, and the organization now believes in going out and spending on something to add to that, then you can potentially get to a 3-4 seed, maybe 5 seed, whatever. But home court advantage in the first round is more attainable, which would then have AD in more of an MVP race. But I've said year after year, literally since 2021, that AD has to take the torch. LeBron has said, publicly that he's tried to hand it off, but I think that's just in public, right? LeBron has never really been the guy that want to hand over power, right? And you can't really be that guy on the team if you don't have power over the organization. However, this offseason, you started to hear some things that AD was starting to have some power, that AD was having some say. It wasn't until AD really came out and really kind of aired out Darvin Ham that he was gone. It's kind of what it was, because AD, for the most part, was publicly in supportive of Ham all season, dapping him up, hugging him up before every single game, showing support publicly. I'm sure he had his frustrations behind the scenes, but he never called him out. He never put him in the spotlight like that. He didn't put the target on him. It wasn't until it was in the playoffs when AD dropped the line about, we don't know what we're doing out there sometimes. And there were leaks that initially the organization was upset about that, because I heard that the organization initially thought that he was kind of shading Braun, and that's why they were a little bit of upset. But it turned out to not really be the case, obviously. But also, AD had never, to that point, when it really went out there and kind of backhanded Ham. Other players did, but AD had not done that yet. So when he did that, that was pretty much over with. But my point is that AD needs to take that next step. He does. I see you, Joe. If Joseph No Context Soro is back again, ladies and gentlemen. So you have to be able to get an MVP season from him, because without that, the team is just, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. And while last night's game was a little bit more encouraging as far as seeing some things that can make you see, okay, there's some life in this team, right? Braun and AD look ready to go. I don't really think they have to play many more preseason games, like maybe a half in total the rest of the preseason. Some of these other guys, like I said, Dalton Connect looks like he can contribute right now. Austin Reeves' body looks different. Like, he looks a lot leaner. He looks longer. That's probably because he is leaner. Austin was doughy sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, not like overweight or out of shape, but he just looks leaner right now. So he looks faster. He looks more agile. And more than likely, he's trying to probably be able to hang with some guys defensively a little bit better. And, in changing probably his diet, his workout regimen, and trying to resculpt his body there. So we'll see how that translates. But, D'Lo is going to be D'Lo. Like, I don't think there's anything that's going to unlock or change D'Lo from a perspective of he can still shoot. He's going to have good games. He's going to have bad games. The problem is D'Lo being a guy that you count on as your third or fourth best player. That's probably recipe for disaster. So that's why I say if AD is playing at a level that's high enough, they're getting enough out of these other guys, and Braun is Braun, then the team may go all in and use some of their assets to go ahead and make this team better. We know they need a center. We know they need some type of wing that can help on the perimeter defensively. And we know that Vandal may not ever be healthy enough to do that. We know that. If Gabe Vincent can come in here and get his role to what we thought it would be last year. Look, I've always been high on Gabe. He was just hurt last year. That was just bad luck. But if he's healthy, he's still a good part and a good piece to this team. He is. Now, is he going to be on the floor? I mean, we'll see about that. But last year's injury was an injury. It just happened. It was bad luck. But when he's been healthy, he's a good help out there. He doesn't always go under screens. He fights through them. He closes out aggressively. Gabe is a type of guy you want on the floor, a guy that you want to get some minutes there. And if he continues to play, and look the way he has when healthy, and if Dalton Connect continues to give what he's giving, then these are additions that this team did not have last year. And we'll have that now. And again, depending on what we see from Vando, if we do see him back on the court. But this team does have a lot of ifs. They do have a lot of ifs. And we have to wait on those ifs because we don't know really the answer to them. There's people that think they know, but we don't know what the health is going to be like. We don't know when these guys are going to play. We don't know how many games AD and Bron are going to play. We don't know when this coaching staff is going to hit their stride. We don't know when this team will be playing at their best. We don't know what deals are being talked about and potentially could just be waiting on the back burner. We don't know. All we know is the majority of this team came back from last year, and they added Joe Soros' favorite rookie in Bronny James. But outside of that, we really don't know. We really don't know. We could definitely assume, right? Because it is the same team as last year, that really no improvements on the margins, nothing really, right? Changed coaching staff, but it's a rookie with some good coaches there on the coaching staff, which they didn't have before. So there's some things you can kind of put together. But outside of that, until they are on the floor, we're just going to have to wait and see what this team becomes. We're just going to have to wait and see. So, but I know one thing is for sure. Anthony Davis has to, 100% has to have an MVP-like season if the Lakers are going to take this to the next level, as far as be out of high enough in the standings where the rear view isn't showing the plane in the background, right? That's what they need to be in. They need to be hovering around the 4-5 slot all season. If they're hovering 7, 8, 9, 10, if we're doing that same song and dance again, if that's where we are, then it's gonna be torture again like last year, because you're gonna start seeing some of the narratives, you're gonna start seeing some of the passive aggressiveness, you're gonna see some of the same stuff we've seen the last 2 years. And I guess what I'm saying is, for AD to be that MVP candidate, and for AD to truly take over this team, and Bron going into his 40th year age-wise, 22nd year overall career, is this AD finally say, look, bro, it's mine. Now, I'm not convinced or confident that that's going to happen from a standpoint of transfer of power, taking ownership of the team as the main guy. I still don't think that's going to happen. But I think AD has to be the best player on the floor night in and night out for this team in order for them to be in position where AD can be a true MVP and defensive player of the year candidate. And if we get that, then I think he will be in the running for it. Because look, he had an MVP season last year. Numbers wise, all the numbers were there. He had a defensive player of the year performance last year. All the numbers were there. But the most important number that they look at when they're going through these players who are on this selective list is the win column. And if you're sitting there fighting for your playoff lives in the play-in, once again, you're not going to be in consideration for these awards. It's not going to happen. And it's completely up to you whether you like that or not. But most valuable to a team that has a chance to win a championship or at least make a deep playoff run is typically what the award is built around now. And it's typically not even who's most valuable to their team. It's who had the biggest year and the effect on a team that was in contention. Because if you're talking about a guy who's most valuable to your team, like you take him off that team and that team is just absolutely nothing, then LeBron James would have a ton of MVPs throughout his heyday if it was just pure most valuable. But most valuable has turned into the best year, where they kind of crowned the best player in the league type thing, right? And Anthony Davis has all the tools and all the talents to be that best player in the league at an MVP level if the Lakers can deliver on the wins that are required to get him in contention for the award. So it's just going to come down to, what does this team look like 6 weeks in? Because typically, usually, you start to hear the MVP talk 4 to 6 weeks into the season. It's a little early, right? And then the MVP kind of starts picking up that narrative, and then it kind of rides all the way through. And then you start just having a couple candidates, and that's what it usually typically ends up being through the season there. So you have to start making some noise early. And then something can happen, because you remember in 2021, Bron was basically going to win the MVP if he didn't get hurt. If he didn't sprain that ankle, God, man, that Solomon Hill thing, that caused so many That broke so many potential storylines. It changed history. It really did. That Solomon Hill injury changed history. And Bron probably gets that MVP in 2021 because the Lakers were going to win enough games and he was having that great of a season. And he was kind of on the campaign, if you know, that 2020 when they got the chip and the speech he gave, and it was kind of all set up for Bron to win that MVP. All he had to do was play enough games because the production was there. But then that injury happened. It took it away. And that's where it ended up. So even if AD has a monster first half of the season, he has to stay healthy to qualify for this award. He has to play enough games. He has to dominate in enough games. And these games must lead to wins. Must lead to wins. Because you can have guys out there having one of the best seasons we've ever seen. But if their team is not a top team in their conference, they're not winning anything. They'll make an all-star. They can start an all-star game. But they're not going to win any hardware for Defensive Player of the Year, MVP. They could and probably would make all NBA teams, but they're not going to win the individual ones. They're not going to win it. And like I said, that's up to everyone to kind of decide how they see that, how they view the awards, and how the awards should go. But I know a lot of people, were saying last year, they just ADs hated on, or they left them out, or this and that. And there's an argument to be made for that. But at the end of the day, if you're not winning, like Mr. Joseph Sorrow always says, we are in the results business. Mr. Sergeant Slaughter Sorrow. We are in the results business. So if you don't deliver wins, then yeah, you're not going to be you're not going to be in position. Shout out to Lakers Fast Break, by the way, man. Shout out to Lakers Fast Break. I've been trying to make a point to mention them early in the show, man. They always look after me. They always mention me. Gerald. Shout out to Gerald, man. Not Joe. Joe never thinks of me. But shout out to Lakers Fast Break. Shout out to Gerald, the Podfather. Shout out to him, man. I've got to do better. I've got to be better at taking care of those that take care of me like that. I get so locked in on these shows, I just zone out. I don't even know where I am half the time. But Lakers Fast Break, go subscribe to them. Go listen to their videos, man. Fast forward Joe's parts. Check out Gerald. And just go over there, man. Make sure DJ Lakers in 5, Kareem Report, Big Baby, all them. You know all the usual suspects, man. But yeah, so it's gonna be hard for them to get over there, get over the hump of like winning these awards if the team just simply isn't winning. And I could kind of understand that, I mean, no, I don't remember the last time. Baseball, you'll see times where a guy who doesn't qualify for the playoffs, or a guy that's not, on a winning team, or even contention for a World Series, win an MVP, because that's just so long of a season. And a guy can just have a legendary monster season that people talk about 40 years from now. Baseball will give it to you. The NBA writers will not. They definitely will not. But they and like I said, it's a difference of opinion. But the writers are the writers, and the people that vote on it, and the people that have impact on it and have a say in it, they typically, align it to winning, man. So once again, this is Empire Jeff TV. I'm their host, Empire Jeff, coming to you on a Monday night, talking some Lakers basketball and why I think that this season Anthony Davis must be 100% a surefire MVP candidate for the Lakers season to trend in the direction that we want and need it to. Shout out to everyone for tuning in. Drop a like on the video if you have not done so already, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, man. About 30% or so of the people who watch on a nightly basis have yet to subscribe. So do your boy a favor, man. You hear every night anyways, man. Even if you're undercover and you don't want to act like you're supporting when you are, just subscribe, man. Do your boy a favor here. You can also become a member, man. You can hit that join button. You can go to the link in the description to become a member. For less than the cost of lunch, you could become a member for an entire month, man. Great way to help support the channel. We got some member-only videos, some vlogging, all kinds of stuff going to be coming this season. Like I said, great way to support the channel. It's basically like giving one super chat a month. Shout out to all the members we have already. You can always also tap that Cash App, $ Empire Jeff. And also for those who buy, their merchandise, their gear and everything online, make sure it's pinned on YouTube. I don't know why it did not pop up here in StreamYard here. Give me 1 second. I gotta put that link back in the description here. So give me 1 second here. Like the chat has been kind of tripping lately on shows. Like not the people in the chat. Well, sometimes. But sometimes the chats don't I see him on the YouTube page, but when I go to like StreamYard, I don't see it there all the time. Okay, there we go. All right, so here we go. So get your MLB, NBA, NFL gear, and more. Make sure to use our link to get special discounts, and your purchase also helps support the channel. Now, your order experience does not change, but because we have partnered with the good people at Fanatics, when you take care of them by ordering via them with our link, then they take care of us. You'll get some special discounts. You'll get the gear you want, and we get taken care of over here. So I appreciate you guys for those who have done it already. Whether you order on NBA.com, MLB, or NFL.com, a lot of you guys don't know that. It's still Fanatics. They all use, it's all the same system, routing to the same warehouses. So at the end of the day, use our link, help support the channel, get your team's gear, support your team. Everybody wins. So appreciate you guys. And everyone over on Twitter, I see y'all rocking heavy too. Make sure to repost the post, like the post over there, man. All right, back to business here. Let me start getting in on some of these chats here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Zachary, what's going on, Zachary, man? What, Jeff? I'm glad Bron and AD playing for Team USA. They are in mid-season form, and JJ News offense looks good. There's a lot about the offense that I've seen and kind of in little layers of it that I do like. They let us see a little bit of it, especially when you saw some of the younger guys on the floor. They have AD in that little hub role. I like a lot of the sets they're running where they're getting the ball to a particular passer, and they're kind of using some misdirection there, which I do like. I saw some things that they put in that they were about to run, but it got broken, but I saw what they were about to do, and I like it. You know what I mean? I see what JJ is doing. He's increasing activity, he's increasing movement, and he's trying to drive and force guys into areas where they're comfortable, and he's trying to force defenses into areas where they're going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes when you're analyzing offenses and defenses, you can see what they're trying to do. And sometimes in preseason, coaches will go and they'll have you work on the beginning ends of it, like the fundamentals of it, but they don't go A to Z on the play. So I can spot that. And when they're in there and they're doing it, I saw some of the things he was putting in, and they're working on the front end of that. I know what they're going to be working on. You can see it, and I think it's going to really help this offense, and I think it's going to open up more three-point shots. And the thing is, the Lakers just got to take more because they shoot at a high percentage. They just don't shoot high enough volume. So if they get that volume up, they shot 40. I think JJ said he wants to get them to 50, that's a whole nother story. But if they can make, I think they shot maybe 28% last night from three. That's going to need to go up, right? So, but if they can shoot enough threes and make enough threes, I hate when teams strictly jack up threes. But I think if you have a dominant guy in the paint and a dominant guy with the ball in his hand in Braun, when they move that rock, those other guys will be able to take and make three-point shots, both open and contested. And I think that's why the volume is important, because last year, while teams knew that the Lakers shot the three well, they also knew that they weren't going to shoot a ton of them, right? So they figured, okay, even though we know they shoot it well, they're not looking for it. And then every time you saw another team go up against the Lakers, they were just ball moving around, they're moving around, and they're just looking for that corner spot to pop open. And then a lot of times it did. And the Lakers, like I said, got to start using other teams' tactics against them. Put them through that same dog and pony show, man. Let them feel it. Savage, what's going on, man? WCJ off the market, and Jazz asking for Kessler 2 first-round picks. I'm annoyed Kessler isn't even that good of a price. Is good for that price, excuse me. Yeah, Wendell Carter Jr. signed that 3-year, $59 million extension with the Magic. He is off the market, cannot be traded this year, so that's another one out the window for the Lakers. They talked about it. There was no trade package that lined up. There really was no package that Orlando liked pretty much anywhere. Didn't want to just kind of have a player there disgruntled. They extended him. Eventually, if it doesn't work out, they can still move him, but it ain't going to be this season, y'all. Nicholas Clark, what's good, my guy? Appreciate you, man. With Wendell Carter Jr.'s new deal, does that inflate Walker's trade value? And what's your general thought on the center market? When you said Walker's trade value, who you talking about? Now, the trade market in general, we talking about Walker Kessler? Sorry. Walker Kessler's trade market has been there, right? As far as what the Jazz want from them. They're trying to set the market at that. No one is paying 2 first-round picks for Walker Kessler. It's not happening. It's why the Knicks went ahead and made the move for Cat. It's why, it's just no one is paying that price. So Danny's hoping someone gets desperate and, pays, and they may not get that second-round pick, but it's the same thing with Atlanta. Atlanta wanted 2 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray, and no one was willing to give it to them until finally the Pelicans came in and said, okay, we'll do it, and they did it. But they waited out. That they sat on that for over almost a year before they finally moved him, because they were holding out for 2 first-round picks, and the Lakers wouldn't do it. And there were other teams involved that wouldn't do it, and the Pelicans did. They gave up the 2 picks, and I could be wrong, but I don't see a team coming in and giving up 2 first-round picks for Walker Kessler. I don't see it happening. Even if a team gets desperate. Now, maybe 2 picks that are not of high value. Maybe you get like a contending team whose picks are way at the back end of the draft, and maybe they're in a year in which they're contending and not when they're potentially down the road and they don't know what their roster looks like. Like trading a 2029 and a 2031 pick from the Lakers for a player like Walker Kessler would be malpractice, because God knows where your team is going to be at that time. But if you're a team, Boston Celtics, Denver Nuggets, OKC Thunder, I'm not saying any of these guys are actively talking to Utah about Walker Kessler. I'm just giving an example, right? Teams that are in contention right now and their draft picks are not really as valuable because they're at the back end of the draft, then I could see maybe those guys be like, look, we're going to give you 2 first-round picks, but they're not as valuable. Danny Ainge wants those Laker picks bad. It wouldn't surprise me if he's just holding on for those 2 first-round picks from others just to get one of those picks from the Lakers, because he wanted those picks. He wants the 27. He got it. He wanted the 29, and he's trying to get that. So maybe he's just waiting for the Lakers to offer up one of those. And but I don't think that anyone that has a high value first-round pick will give up 2 of them. That I just don't think that's going to happen. Okay. And the center market has kind of been what it's been, right? You've got Mitchell Robertson, but he's hurt. You got Jonas Valanciunas, who isn't available till December 15th. You got Robert Williams III, who I think could help this team, but he's just always injured. A guy that I would love for the Lakers to try to see if they can snag someone like a Steven Adams, but I have yet to hear that there's any movement on Houston even looking like they're willing to move him. But those are the guys like that are kind of lurking and out there. Wendell Carter Jr. was one. Like I said, he's off the market now. And then you got Walker Kessler, who they're definitely willing to move, but just not at that price. And so it's going to have to remain to be seen. I think the Lakers want to get a look at Koloko, see what he looks like. And he's not going to be that grueling, bruising big that they need. But he's going to be at least an addition, because when you see this Laker team out there, man, they just, when AD's not on the floor, they're just so small. They just don't have the height, and they're going to need someone else, man. Joe said, assume what? Oh, you're talking about, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And if the sky turns gold, and if Joe spoke with more context, and if Joe just didn't try to retort everything that someone says, and if Joe could just sit in a seat and watch and observe without trying to, but then it wouldn't be Joe, right? It wouldn't be Joseph Sorrow. DJ, what's going on, DJ, man? DJ from Lakers in 5. Make sure to go subscribe to Lakers in 5. My brother DJ, man. Good guy, great channel, great content. Had a show tonight. Check it out. Make sure to go subscribe. DJ, I don't know if you're working tonight. Drive safe, brother. I don't know if you are. But I appreciate you tuning in, man. Joe again. If I, LeBron, went back in time and brought back the flux capacitor. Can you imagine Joe at 80? Like what he's going to be like when he's 80 years old, sitting on his porch, just yelling at people. Oh my God. Imagine being his mailman when he's 80. Oh God. What's going on, Chow Lee? What's going on? Appreciate you for tuning in. I hope you are doing well. Thank you for your support as always. Black Mamba, what's going on, man? He said, what's good, Jeff and chat? Hope you're doing good, man. Dino Evans, salute, bro. Thank you for tuning in. Rob has no intentions on making moves regardless of how the Lakers perform. He already knows the Lakers have C- players, so why wait and see? Well, Dino, I think you're right to a point. But I also think that he also wants to see what this staff gets out of people. I think this staff could get more out of people than the last staff did, right? And I think that maybe sometimes you get guys that play over their head, or you got guys who weren't playing up to their potential, and maybe they start reaching it. So as far as seeing it, you also, some other teams can come off of their asking price, right? They talk another move, they need a piece to make that move, and all of a sudden things start coming together. So sometimes you just get lucky. But outside of that, there are moves that can be made. They just don't want to pay the price right now. And if the team is winning some games and they get off to a better start than they did the last couple of years, then we'll see what happens, man. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. What's going on, my guy? I appreciate you. Make sure to go subscribe to Daniel Berry. He has a channel as well. I don't want to hear no MF ifs. What's going on, Charlie? Dino says, the win column only matters when you're the Lakers. If wins matter, then Victor Wembanyama should not have been a candidate. Are you talking about like for defense and like rookie of the year and stuff like that? Yeah, you might be onto something. I think like these voters, man. I think you're right though. I think they have like this weird thing where they got these unwritten rules when it comes to the guys with tenure. But let a new guy hit the scene and it becomes their guy, like their new guy, and the guy that they know they're going to be covering for 15 years, and they try to get in with that person early. It's weird politics, but I get what you mean, and you're right. But there's a reason why that is, and it's weird, man. Joe says Solomon Hill was the equivalent of Scott Williams falling on Karl Malone in 2004. Yeah, that derailed that season too, man. Man, oh man, that fall changed. That changed history, man. It legitimately did. It changed history. Crazy, man. It's crazy how that one play right there changed. There's guys with championships that wouldn't have one. There's teams that are formed that wouldn't have been together. I'm telling you this. Bridges, what's going on, Bridges? Yo, Jeff. It's probably too much to ask for, but if this team stays healthy, they could be very good. I think like here's my thing, man. I think this team is not trash. They weren't trash last year. It was just way too much going on. There was way too much drama. There was way too much distractions. There was just a lot going on that really didn't help the team get where they needed to go. It was more detrimental than influential, right? It influenced it in a bad way, not in a good way. But like if they can have, obviously you don't have Ham and the crew there and his staff, that removes that sideshow and that toxicness that was there. Because literally you could not watch a Lakers show. You couldn't have a Laker conversation. You couldn't do anything with it just Darvin. It was just so draining and so toxic. And it was just like, no one was even breaking down games anymore, right? It was just Darvin. And so I'm happy he's gone for that reason only. I wish well on Darvin Ham, but I'm happy he's out of here because it was just so much to deal with, man. Now people can get back to doing good shows and being creative and getting back to breaking down the game of basketball instead of having the same show every single night. And so, including the Lakers show, right? Including radio shows, including everything, because Darvin Ham situation was so bad that it was never going to be anything until he was gone and that whole staff was gone. They had to remove it like a cancer because it was so toxic. Joe says Joe sucks. Shando, what's up, Shando, man? What are guys who people said is in contention for best player you never understood or agreed with in the last 10 years? To me, Kawhi, KD, Steph, hell no. To me, here's my thing, and it's just my opinion. To me, Kawhi and KD were never the best player in the league at any given time. They never were. By the time Bron kind of came down from it, I just never felt, because I still felt that Bron, like in 2018, 2019, when they went in 2020, like I still felt like Bron was that dude. And then I felt like you kind of had like a Giannis Joker stretch there because Bron, just came out of his prime, right? And he wasn't that same Bron anymore. He was still putting up numbers, but he wasn't that Bron that just by me being here, we're a contender. Like that went away. And I feel like it really kind of went to Giannis Joker, right? And that's kind of where we are right now. But I never, ever had KD or Kawhi or even Steph as the best player in the league at any point in their career. Now, they're all champions. They're all been finals MVPs, right? And they're all killers, and they're all first ballot Hall of Famers. But I think Kawhi is at the bottom of that list from those three. And not that the Kawhi isn't great and not that Kawhi hasn't had a great career, but just the injuries and just the not winning, blowing that 3-1 lead. I say not winning as far as when he came to LA, right? And it was just kind of like completely overblown. And every year there's always that, oh, well, this team got hurt thing. But Kawhi, that 2019 Raptor chip, to me, is less legitimate than the bubble. Like people want to talk about the bubble. That 2019 chip, like, dude, even without KD, if Klay stays healthy, the Warriors, I feel, still win that series, right? So, my thing is, I don't necessarily hold Kawhi in the same area as a KD or a Steph, and I don't hold KD and Steph in the same area as Bron. So again, my opinion. I'm entitled to have mine, just like everyone is entitled to have theirs. But I just thought LeBron was a level up from those guys. He was just different. And I think that KD and Steph were a level up and different from Kawhi. Kawhi, very good, but I don't believe that Kawhi will be remembered in history like Braun, KD, or Steph were. Joe says, I got some good ish coming to the NBA writers this year. I get the official list. Once I get the official list. Okay, I posted that already. Reminder, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so already. Thoughts on Chuck's disdain for the Lakers? There's a lot of guys that have disdain for the Lakers, especially those that played against them, guys that didn't win any rings. I want to say I kind of get it. It's just natural reaction, right? But my thing is this. I'll give Chuck credit for at least not hiding it. Like he's never come out and said, I hate, well, maybe he has. Chuck says a lot of stupid stuff. But one thing about Chuck is he doesn't pull punches. There's guys out there that hate the Lakers and try to tap dance around it, right? He doesn't for the most part. But Chuck just hates all the attention. Also fun fact, Chuck was almost traded to the Lakers and was hopeful he was going to be traded for the Lakers and was celebrating that he was traded to the Lakers, and it didn't happen before he got traded to Phoenix back in the day. So Chuck was trying to become a Laker, was almost a Laker, and never became one. And then Shaq and Kobe era hit and all that. So there's probably some jealousy there for sure, man. Joe says, you want them to shoot 53s? No, I don't. I'm saying JJ said that. I said, I don't think that. I think that they have to be a team that's a threat to shoot threes. 50 is a little absurd to me. 40 is still, when the Lakers volume went up that high, the percentage tend to plummet. I always said the Lakers needed to shoot less than 30 when they were like 27, 28 threes a game was when they were at their best. But that's when Braun is shot, I think, 40% from three last year. If they're encouraging AD to shoot more threes, which I don't necessarily love, as far as him to shoot 3 or 4 threes a game, I understand the value in him being able to make them when they present themselves. But I don't think that's something. But I think there's a lot of things that are happening here that are trying to throw things off, right? I think that they want the league thinking they're going to take a bunch of threes. I think they want them staying on those shooters. I think they want them staying on those players. I think they want people closing out on Anthony Davis. I think a lot of this could be psychology too. So this is why I say until I see it, I got to see it translate on the floor. I think the Lakers taking 53s a game would be a mistake unless they're making it at a ridiculous percentage, which again, they'd have to show me to prove that. Oh, man, my voice is struggling here, guys. So there's these Dodger Stadium, man. It just takes the voice out of you, man. What did Chuck say? No, Chuck is just always kind of like hating on the Lakers in a way, right? So, but Chuck has kind of done that. He's had stretches where he's hating on Braun. Him and Kobe had gotten into it. Obviously, him and Shaq. Chuck just does that, man. Chuck just does that. So he's been known for talking all that. He talks about San Antonio and all that stuff, man. It's just Chuck being Chuck, man. Bridges says, if you're putting up 53s a night, you better be hitting them at an average clip, at least, because if not, you're getting wrecked. If they drop, then let them fly. Yeah, that's my point. And I think that's what JJ is hoping for. But I also think that he wants teams thinking that they're going to be doing that. Because like I said, the Lakers shot at a high percentage last year, but teams know they weren't throwing them up there. So they're just clogging the paint. If teams are thinking that they're going to shoot the three in more volume, then they're more likely to stay or close out on those shooters, which opens up the floor more. So I get the strategy there, and why you want them to think you're going to take the threes. Whether they actually do it remains to be seen. What's going on, Charlie? Nicholas Clark, what's up, bro? Would you trade a Lakers first round pick and multiple seconds for Walter Kessler? If there is a first pick involved for Walter Kessler, to me, that first pick would have to have heavy protection. I would not trade a lottery pick for Walker Kessler. If it's a lottery protected first round pick, I would consider it. And if it doesn't convey at a certain amount of time, converts to a second, something like that, I would consider it, because so far they found no one even remotely close to take that deal from them. So I would not do that. I don't think Walker Kessler is worth that. I think he could serve a purpose on this team, and I think he could definitely help, but not at that cost. There's no sense to go out and pay, and there's no sense overpay and bid against yourself. I ain't lasting to 80. Yeah, Joe, you're probably one of those dudes that lives like 104 and just is like cursing people out on a swing in the front, drinking out of a mason jar, still still with hair gel like in your hair, like chilling, yelling at people, upsetting your mailman. Walker Kessler would literally only play 15 minutes a game, and he probably wants to get paid next year. Let's see, Carter Jr. with the amount injury history he has just got 20 million per year, basically. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's it's a reason why the Jazz want to move him is because they don't want to pay him, right? And so the Lakers were like, look, you want to get rid of him because you don't want to pay him, and we got to trade for him and pay him. So that's kind of where the standoff is. And I think a lot of teams are doing that. That's where the standoff is, and that's kind of similar. Well, kind of similar to what the Pelicans are facing with Brandon Ingram. Teams don't want to give up a lot to get him and then have to pay him, right? They don't want to give up a lot to get him and then may lose him for nothing. So that's kind of how the Pelicans are kind of in that same situation. And that's kind of where it is with Utah and Walker Kessler right now. And they'd have to have a lot of traction, a lot of things move up, or some team face a pretty serious injury for a team to consider overpaying for him. Dan Inspiration, what's going on, man? If Rudy Gobert costs first rounds, then Walker Kessler for 2 firsts sounds fair because Kessler is just as good as Gobert defensively and offensively. Well, I disagree about him being as good as Gobert defensively. Gobert can literally guard 3 people at once. Gobert is not as good like a one-on-one versus Joker type thing, but Gobert holding down the paint, so the guards, wings, and all that, patrolling the paint and taking away multiple lanes and contesting multiple shots, changing angles on shots, changing direction on offenses is much more advanced than what Walker Kessler can do. But outside of that, also, Minnesota did that at a time where they admittedly and knowingly overpaid, but that market has already corrected itself. And like I said, I don't believe no one is going to give up 2 first-round picks of value for a Walker Kessler. I don't think so. Bridget says, my guess is the Lakers will average just under 43s a game, 37, 38-ish. Yeah, I think that's fair. Like I said, I really had felt for the most part that what they were doing here and what they were saying is kind of just out there, just putting things out. A lot of stuff comes out in training camp that never comes to fruition. Remember how we heard LeBron's going to play 30 minutes a game? We heard that. And then what happened? 2 games into the season, that was done. So you don't always listen or take to what you hear coming out of training camp because a lot of it is just talk. A lot of it is just throwing stuff out there. And I don't believe the Lakers will have many games when they're shooting around 53 pointers a game. I think that would be dangerous to the Lakers. Walker was getting benched at the end of the Jazz games last season for John Collins. Kessler was too slow of a player. He can only block shots and rebound. He gets cooked all the time and sucks offensively. Yeah, that's why I said I no way, shape, or form have him anywhere in the same class as a Rudy Gobert. And I'm not even like a full-fledged Rudy Gobert guy. Like, I'm not a guy that is like, Rudy's the best defender in the league. Like, I feel like he's gotten too many Defensive Player of the Year awards, or others should have gotten them. But just because I think that he's not that doesn't mean that I think he's not good. So it is not something like he's not trash. A lot of people are trying to say that, but he's definitely better than Walker Kessler is, like, to me. I feel that way. But he is I think Walker Kessler also isn't playing alongside a big like AD. You put him alongside AD, you put him alongside LeBron, who can create and probably create some easier shots for him around the rim. I think he could have a decent season for the Lakers. I think he could play better on the Lakers than he does on Utah. But having said that, I'm still not giving up 2 first-round picks for him because you're paying Utah based off what he did for them last year. And off that alone, I don't believe it's worth it. But like I said, that is just me. I don't believe that anyone will pay 2 first-round picks for a Walker Kessler. We'll see if I stand corrected on that or not. My hot take, Pels get Ayton. I don't know if that's a hot take, Savage, because I think that's probably a natural trade partner there, right? Let me do some math here right quick. Give me 1 second here. Let's line this up real quick because they've got that Ayton, that deal, Portland probably wants to get off of that, right? The Pelicans are going to need a big man, and they may have to make a move for a guy that's probably overpaid, right? But here's the thing, though. They also have some money issues, and that could also derail it. They want a big man, but I don't know if they want to take on the money that's going to be there for him. So let's just line this up real quick. So we've got Brandon Ingram. Let me send him to Portland in this deal. And let me look up Portland and let me send Ayton in this deal. And let's see if that even lines up. Okay, so it does. Let's see. Okay, so Portland is actually saving some money on this, about $6 million. And they're getting a free agent to be, and they're wiping out Ayton's money from his deal. Whereas the Pelicans are sending out 30s. Actually, excuse me. I got that wrong. The Portland is sending out 34 million. They would be taking back 36. So they'd be taking on $2 extra million in money. My bad. And then you have the Pelicans who would be sending out 36, right? And taking in 34. So the Pels will be saving 2 million, but they're taking a guy back who's got a lot more years on his deal. And I don't know if the Pelicans are going to be in position to do that, to be able to keep him when you just paid Zion, you got CJ, you got DeJounte Murray, like you've got guys that you've been paying here. And DeAndre Ayton, he has another year there than Ingram does. So 34 million this year, 35 million next year. So maybe with it being one more year, maybe they stomach it and to get off Ingram there and to get the big they need. And Portland gets out of that money for an extra year there. So it's kind of like a salary dump by 1 year. You get a player that you could play on your team and then maybe move him at the deadline to try to get something to maybe a contender. So maybe that's not a bad one. It's just going to come down to, do the New Orleans Pelicans want to pay DeAndre Ayton that $35 million for next season? Mr. Laidback, what's going on, man? Hey, Jeff, you okay? At first thought you had a new co-host. Wait, what you mean? He said, hey, Jeff, you okay? At first thought I thought you had a new co-host. I don't know what you mean, man. What do you mean? Is it because my voice is jacked up? Is that what it means? Because my voice is just wrecked from these baseball games, man. But I don't really know what you're talking about. But yeah, I'm good. I'm straight. I'm straight, man. Appreciate it. Trey all day. Salute, brother. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for pulling up, man. Getting rid of Ingram and CJ opened up a lot of money. Yeah, but I think they got CJ and extended him, right? I think CJ signed that extension there. Let me switch back to them. Hold on. Let me get back to, why am I in NFL? What are you doing, Jeffrey? Let me get back to the New Orleans Pelicans. Let me check up on them real quick and see. But I thought they gave CJ an extension, unless I'm tripping. Okay, yeah. So they did when they got him. So 33 million this year. It goes backwards a little bit to about 30.5 million next year. So you would have 35 million in DeAndre Ayton, and you'd have 30 million in CJ. So that's $65 million in money that at some point you probably would have to break up or move off, because they're running into some trouble there. And so that extra year makes things a little sticky for them. But we'll wait and see what happens there. Bridges says, if the Suns have a bad start, I could see KD getting moved. I think the Blazers budge on Grant before the deadline. Also, I think the Blazers definitely budge on Grant. And I do agree that I think the Suns. Well, here's my thing, Bridges. I think I'm kind of at a crossroads here. So let's sort through this together here. I want to know what you guys think about this. I'm kind of at a crossroads when it comes to Phoenix and Durant. I think Phoenix's thoughts is that, they're in their second apron. They're hemorrhaging and spending all this money. But I think that they believe that any moment that they decide they can break this up, I think they feel that they can move Booker and get something. While Bradley Beal necessarily, it may not feel like he's worth the money in Phoenix. I think a team might take him. He doesn't have a ton of time left on that deal, right? And he could score for you. He could put bodies in seats for some teams. He could be like a Levine. He could be like a Trae Young. He could be like one of those guys, right? I think a team would take him. Outside of that, I think that the Phoenix owner and KD may have kind of like a genie bust LeBron thing. I think he knows that that's just going to be a cash cow. And whether we're winning or not, we want to win. We're spending money on winning. We are committed to winning. We're spending everything we got. We're paying all this tax. We're doing everything. But at the end of the day, if we don't win with him, I'm not moving him because the ROI on that return on investment is too good. You're not going to get a name bigger than that to come in there to probably make you a contender and make you the money you're making at the door and in marketing and in all kind of other spaces. So my personal opinion is the Phoenix Suns are trying to have with KD what the Lakers have with Braun. And as long as he plays, I think I think there's a chance he may remain and retire a Phoenix Sun unless he demands out, which KD has been known to do, right? He's been known to do. But if he demands out, that's one thing. If he does not demand out, then I can see them kind of holding on to him, and kind of, like I said, having with him what the Lakers have with LeBron. Shando says, to me, I feel guys don't get enough praise for doing what it takes to win, like Bosh and Love. Melo didn't want to do that, but still gets criticism. So damn, you damn if you do, you damn if you don't. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who knew what it was, and I think a lot of people who know the game of basketball, know winning basketball, and know what a championship team needs and sacrifices. I think they give those guys all the credit in the world. Most of the people on the internet who just look at stats and look at Chris Bosh's stats in Toronto and then Chris Bosh's stats in Miami and think that tells the whole story, that's just stupid. Looking at Kevin Love's stats in Minnesota and then looking at Kevin Love on the Cavs, that would be stupid, because you're looking at a guy who was a number one option and a franchise player for a team going to a different scenario to sacrifice his own legacy as an individual performer to win a championship. And in my book, that never gets frowned on, because you did your job. You did what you need to do to help win that team win a ring, and they don't win it without them. So at the end of the day, I praise that. Melo just built different. Guys like Melo, guys like Kobe, guys like Bron, MJ. Like, I'm not putting Melo necessarily that high, but I'm talking about his mentality was he was never going to go anywhere and be a number 2 or number 3. He was never going to do that. He wanted to get every penny he was owed, and he wanted to be the man, and he wanted to win while being the man. And, Chris Bosh knew that was never going to happen with him. Kevin Love knew that was never going to happen with him. They got their money. They got the money they would have anyways. But at the end of the day, they also got hardware. They got the rings, right? And so someone like Melo, look, Melo was in Western Conference finals as the man on those Denver Nugget teams. Like, if not for Kobe and the Lakers, he may get one, right? So Melo's thing is a little bit different. I have Melo as a better player than those other two, but I think those other two were more capable of being what Miami and Cleveland needed from them to win championships. I never thought that Melo was that type of guy to be able to do that. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. Where did I leave off here? Oh, my voice, Mr. Layback. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's been a rough couple days on my voice. Multiple baseball games, NFL, both happy and mad at my Dodgers. So voice raised in excitement, voice raised in rage. You know what I mean? And my voice is in recovery right now. And this is my second show of the day. Make sure to check out my Dodger stream I did earlier. Talk about Manny Machado and accusing the Dodgers of hitting Tatis on purpose and all the nonsense from last night's game. Check out the stream earlier on the channel. We also cover also the MLB and the Dodgers over here as well. So make sure to drop a like on the video if you have not done so already, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. But appreciate you checking in. I'm good. My voice is just a little raspy and scratchy and going through it here. Hayes looked all right next to AD, but man, him by himself was terrible. I think they waiting till Coloco gets healthy. Coloco and Christian Wood. Like, Jackson Hayes is a guy that should probably not be on the 12-man roster. Like, unless Wood, AD, or Coloco are unavailable, right? So for me, he is not a guy. He is a legit 7-foot guy. But he just, when the game slows down or you're in traffic, like I've often said, he is pretty solid in pace and space, but he is bad in traffic and congestion. And he just gets ragdolled. He just bounces off of people. He's not going to get a rebound over a legit center or legit big. It's not going to happen. He's going to get bullied out the way. Now you get him on the leak out, on the run, in transition, on a miss, on a block, on a missed shot, right? Like you can get some things from him in small packages. But having him as your secondary big, then you are going to have some serious concerns. Can the Lakers get Jared Allen, says Dan Inspiration? I believe he just signed an extension. So to my knowledge now, he is not tradable. I got to look at the exact date of when he signed it, but for some reason, I'm thinking he can't be traded this year. Mr. Laidback said the Dodgers pitching needs to improve. The Madres are too arrogant. Those both things are true. Katie, what's going on, brother? Hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Sucks. Yankees today. Every series is tied 1-1, yet it's just the sky is falling for the Dodgers, right? Savage says Grant has a terrible contract. They had Grant injury away from being a bad contract. Yep. His contract is not great, but that contract starts to be less disgusting as the years go on and the cap goes up. But he's not young either, right? So Grant, to me, I don't think the Lakers should have to give up a pick at all to take Grant. You're taking on that money. You're freeing Portland of some money spent there over time. So it's not how this works. When you take on the longer term money for a guy that's on the wrong side of that deal, on the wrong side of his career, right? Typically a team has to pay to get off of that. But yeah, I don't think the Lakers are giving any picks for Grant. Shando says, where you think BI and CJ go? They kind of redundant on the Pels. I'd rather see Herb and Trey get bigger roles. I could see Ingram on a team like the Spurs. I know Cleveland had interest in him. Atlanta had talks with him. I could see maybe a team like Brooklyn sending over some other pieces, kind of just guys for guys type of thing. We'll see, but it's hard to tell right now. We'll see how these teams start off. We'll see how guys look. BI may end up on a team that really isn't going anywhere, just to get him out of there and get something. Like, maybe he goes to a bad team. Maybe he goes to like a Detroit. Maybe he goes to a team like Chicago. Maybe he goes like, I'm just spitballing here. Like I said, maybe the Spurs, like maybe the Rockets, right? Like I'm just spitting things out here. Maybe he goes, maybe he goes to the Jazz. You know what I mean? Like in kind of a dump there, and then the Jazz buy him out. Could you imagine that? There are things that yet to play out when it comes to Brandon Ingram. You think KD leaves Phoenix? I personally don't think he will. Apparently, KD wanted a point guard, but the GM went and got Beal. I mean, for everything I knew, KD was heavily pursuing Beal, and that was him trying to get that done. So that was the rumor at the time. And he got a point guard this year in Tyus Jones. So we'll see how that works out. Is there a way for Beal to get traded? There is. I mean, he just has the no trade clause, so he would be able to pick and choose where he goes. I'm telling you this though, man, that there is, every time someone says a contract is untradeable, typically that contract gets traded. So we'll just have to wait and see where. Don't want to worry about any awards except the championship trophy. I hear you, Palumi. Hope I didn't butcher your name. If I did, I apologize. I guess my train of thought is, Palumi, is that if Anthony Davis is in the running for or gets an MVP trophy, then that's probably transitioning into a championship trophy, right? That means the Lakers are that good of a team. That means he's having that dominant of a season, and that means we are in contention. That's kind of my train of thought in it, but I agree with you. That's the only hardware that matters. Bridges says, I can see the Suns diving into a rebuild. I don't know if KD has that level of appeal to be a cash cow at this point. How much of a difference does he make in attendance if the team sucks? We'll have to wait and see with that, right? But I just still think that he's a big enough name and a big enough draw, and people in Phoenix go watch basketball games. So we'll have to wait and see, but I still think that he is a money driver. I still think that. Savage says, the way the center market is, I'd rather give Koloko a real shot as a backup. Also, my hot take is Lakers need a wing more than a center. Rui looks completely lost defensively, and Vando can't shoot. We need both. Hopefully with Gabe being back, a backup point guard. And if JHS, which, like I said, I defended him all last year. I thought people were giving up on him too early. Way too soon to give up on a guy like that. But as far as now goes, if Gabe can be a solid, legitimate backup point guard, then I think we kind of got that solved. Now we do need a wing, but we definitely need a center because we have no other big over there. And Koloko, like I said, even if he is, he's a rim running big, right? He's an athletic big. He's not the type of big you think of when you're going up against an Embiid or a Joker or something like that. Bridges says, Koloko and Hayes as your backup centers is a joke. I like Wood, but not as your backup five. I agree with you, Bridges. This is my point. Exactly. My thing is this. If you have AD and like I'm just spitballing here, right? I'm just saying it like a fit and a need. If you had an AD and a Steven Adams, and then you had a Koloko and a Christian Wood, I think Hayes is at the back of the line no matter what. But if you had an Anthony Davis and a Steven Adams, and then your lengthy bigs backups are Koloko and Wood, that I don't mind, because you got the bruising big, you got the stretch five, and you got the rim running athletic big. and AD. That, like, I wouldn't mind. What you're missing there is like the Steven Jackson. It's not Steven Jackson, sorry. Steven Adams type is what you're missing there. You need that strong big, right? And I don't necessarily know if Valanciunas is the answer to that, but he is a strong big, that wouldn't require a whole lot of minutes, but a guy that can give, can go out there and bump guys. They need a bruiser. And while Valanciunas may not be my first or favorite pick, it's better than Hayes, in that role. And it's better than Koloko or Christian Wood in that type of role. But if you have like one of those bruising bigs, and then you got those lanky, athletic big and Koloko and a stretch big and Wood, I like that much better. But that's the guy we missing, is a Steven Adams like type. Melo, to me, never wanted to win at all costs. Look at what Brunson did and what Melo did, night and day. What Brunson did also, it was special in so many different ways. But let's not. We'll still wait and see with Brunson. I think Brunson is dope. I think he's good, but he's no Melo, right? He's no Melo. And at the end of the day, let's see if he does win, right? And sometimes, it's not just about like winning at all costs by leaving money on the table. Majority of the guys don't do that. Like Kobe never did that. Jordan didn't do that. LeBron kind of did it once, and it was only like so they keep Udonis Haslem. It was barely a cut, and it's taken the max ever since. So, like I said, it's real easy for guys to point out winning at all costs and take a pay cut, but then go and ask anyone today to go take a pay cut at their job, right? And people look at you like you're out of your damn mind. Bridges says, if the Pels flip BI for a 3-and-D wing and get a legit 5, they could be very good. Yeah, DeAndre Hunter for BI could be interesting for both teams. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Chris, what's going on, my brother? Appreciate you, bro. Chris, the art director in the house. Chris, the graphic god, my brother. Appreciate you, man. Hope you're having a good night out there in AZ, man. KD says, yeah, man, Yanks started 8 runners, 8 runners. This game sucks. Stanton runs like a semi going uphill, shaking my head. Yeah, Jazz hit that home run in the 9th, and they were down to it. It's just, Kansas City's a good team. They're a solid team. And it's gonna, Yankees are gonna have to take this from them. But all these series are all going to the next city 1-1. So we'll see how this plays out here. I love it. It's October baseball, and I told you guys this was coming. I told y'all. If you were the Lakers GM, which center would you target? Said Nicholas Clark. For me, it's Steven Adams, man. Like I said, you got a 3 that can shoot in Christian Wood. You got 80 who they want to take more threes. You got a defensive big in Anthony Davis. You got Steven Adams who can get out there and kind of go chest to chest with the Joker, with an Embiid, with AD roaming. He's the perfect type of big for me. I know his injury history. I know, but all the bigs have them, all of them. And for me, I think that for what he gives you is exactly what this team needs in stretches. You don't need that guy to play 30 minutes a game, but when you're on the floor with the Joker to give AD some break, I think he's the perfect type of big. And I'm surprised his name is never mentioned when it comes to the Lakers. Like, and even if he's not available, but still, like, I think he's the type of big you need, because you got to stretch big in Christian Wood and technically AD, and you got Koloko who's athletic. You need that bruiser, man. You really need a really strong dude who takes nothing from no one, who gives it out as much as he takes, like from a physical standpoint. That's what we need. Can't wait to see what happens to Sandy in San Diego tomorrow. Absolutely, man. It could potentially be a must win for the Dodgers. I believe the Dodgers can go in and get 2 in San Diego, but it's going to take everything, and it's going to be tough. But tomorrow, having the Michael King versus Walker Buehler, like Shohei Ohtani, Mookie. We don't know if Freddie's playing. Man. I'm gonna be talking a lot of Dodgers tomorrow, but let me get back to basketball now. But yeah, it's gonna be a vibe tomorrow for sure. Bridget says Steven Adams would be a perfect fit. Yeah, and I've been talking about him for months, and I'm just surprised why no one else has. He would be perfect. I just don't know if he's attainable, right? And maybe that's why people aren't really talking about him. But I think at some point, I don't know, what Houston's real need of him is, right? So he'd just be a guy that I would really love for them to go after. I've been talking about him for a while, and I think he would be perfect next to AD. D'Lo and JHS have to go. Point guards are the least important need to me. On today's NBA, point guards are important, man. Point guards, wings, and bigs. And you did like a point guards and wings, really. And then if it was because Joker and Embiid, with Embiid's often injury and probably just never going to get to a finals. Joker's team kind of took a step back, perhaps, but you got some solid bigs in OKC now. So like a big is a big. The last couple seasons have been more important than they have probably in the last 10 years. But a point guard is very important. If you go and look at any team that's gone out and won a championship or went to the finals, like look at their point guards. Like you definitely need a point guard. D'Lo and JHF have to go. Okay, I just touched on that. My bad. Put it in there twice. I look at Wood as a 4. I think he would do good even in non-AD minutes if there was a big man next to him. Yeah, I agree. Knicks and OKC are going to be fun this year. They are, man. And I hate that I have to watch Cat so many times. I don't like Cat, man. Ugh. But I do love watching the Knicks, and I watch them a lot. People don't think Lakers are a good team, but when you mention Rui and D'Lo in trade talks, they start crying like, how do people expect Lakers to make trades if there is no salary? What do you mean no salary? I mean, Rui and D'Lo combined for like 36 mil. There's salary to move there. Bridget says MLB is spoiled. They have super teams and somehow still have parity. They better take advantage of it now. Yeah, and MLB can do that. And MLB is in a great position right now. So the best we've ever seen these playoffs. And I told you this back in March, my guys, this is going to be the best year. And that's why I wanted to get so many people involved in watching it, because I just felt it was trending that way. And I was happy to see that come to fruition, man. These playoffs have been great. My team is in a very nervous situation right now, but the playoffs have still been great. And now it's wait to see how this plays out, man. Let me go. Chris says, no one should ever take pay cut, especially in professional sports. Ask me to take a pay cut, see what happens. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm never asking someone to take a pay cut. You know what I mean? And especially, I don't think I'm labeling someone not a winner if they don't take a pay cut, because rule number one here is the thing you want to win at most at is in life. Your family comes first. And like I said, you work hard. There's no point in a player taking less than their guaranteed money that someone is offering them. Because your family comes first. Now, Brunson also is that guy. You're playing in New York. To me, Brunson is not on the level of a Carmelo Anthony. He's not on the level of like a LeBron James. He's not on the level of those guys. Brunson is not a superstar. He's not. So Brunson's probably like, look, I'm cool with this money, right? if I take top tier money, and we don't do New York media gonna come after me and all this. So he also did it to get some of his guys over there. He got Mikal Bridges. He's got to get paid and extended, right? They've been working on that cat trade for like a year. So there's a lot of things he did because he was having talks with the team, right, to line all that up. I don't look down upon Melo because he took the money that he was offered and what he was owed as a level of player that he was in the league at the time. What was the time you feel Melo missed out on a winning situation? The 2008, 2009 Denver Nuggets. Had not been for Kobe and the Lakers, like I said, I think he may get one. I think if it not for the potentially the Miami Heat and LeBron James, maybe when he was in New York, the year that he got traded there with Chauncey Billups, there was a chance there, right? As far as they were a good team. Outside of that, that was probably it. A couple years into his New York tenure, kind of went south. He wasn't going to win anything in OKC. Definitely wasn't going to win anything in Houston, in Portland, on this Laker team when he came here. So to me, 2008, 2009, Denver was his probably chance. But, Kobe Bean Bryant snatched that from reality. Dan Inspiration says, okay, if you had a choice, would you take Caitlin Clark or Castleton on the Lakers roster? I'd take Clayton Clark for real. I mean, honestly, I'm one of these guys that really did not. I know the name, obviously. I've seen clips. I probably maybe a maximum, and this may be overestimating. I've seen a maximum of 15 minutes of WNBA play. Like, I've seen none of it, basically. It's just because I don't have the time, right? So I'm the wrong guy to ask that. But in the NBA, you'd be surprised how the worst player in the NBA does anywhere else in any other league. All right, is all I'm going to say. Because you run into the worst player in the NBA in a game somewhere, anywhere in the country, and you go up against them, and they will hand it to you. They will take your lunch. The worst player in the league will still destroy an average citizen out here. And that includes, for mine, the WNBA as well. Bridges says, plus Brunson came from money with his dad in the league and coaching. Still, Jalen probably will coach after and make millions for 30 years. That's a good point there too, Bridges. There are several stories of Melo wanting the spotlight and money over winning from coaches and former teammates, which led to him being blackballed. He'd rather just jab step a million times. Well, what happened was the thing with Phil Jackson really, I think led somewhere where it shouldn't have. Him in OKC was great. No, he went there. He took a lesser role. Melo's thing was, I'm not coming off the bench when you're starting guys that I'm better than. Like, Melo had a brand. Melo had pride. Like I said, Melo's a very good player. Chris Paul just went through that this season, right? The first time he went somewhere where he's like, you're not starting. You know what I mean? Look how old he is, right? So I kind of have a little bit more sympathy for Melo than a lot of other guys did. I don't believe he should have been blackballed. There was no reason for it. Melo feeling that he was still a capable NBA starter. I mean, that's what Iverson did. That's why he basically got ran out. So, I don't really bash Melo. I think the narratives out there on Melo are a little bit unfair, in my opinion. I'm tired of Castleton also. Yeah. Castleton is not ready. He wasn't ready last year. He's not ready this year. It is Bridges says, I don't see an avenue for Castleton to be effective. Slow, thin frame, can't shoot, not really skilled. Just don't see it in him. Yeah, I've yet to see anything in him that I'm like, okay, they've got something, or this is going to be a guy that's going to be around a long time. I haven't. Can he do it? Nah, I mean, maybe he surprises us, but I myself don't see it. Over time, we'll see. But as of right now, I would pretty much say no, that there's not enough for me here to think that this is going to be a guy that can be impactful on this team for years to come. I don't think so. I never really have seen that in him, to be honest with you. I feel Melo's chance was to go elsewhere in 2014 to 15. He kind of knew what the front office was on. Also, his treatment of Lynn in Linsanity was bad. He can't handle that. Def not going to be a number 2 option. Yeah, no, he's not going to. You're right. He could have been part of that Heat thing instead of Chris Bosh, except that he took that deal first and never hit free agency. So Melo had a chance to be part of that. He elected not to be. And 1 was probably to get the money now in case he got hurt, and 2, because he wasn't ready to make the sacrifice on his touches. He was still building himself at that point. And so I feel those guys are free to make that decision on their own. I don't judge them because of that. Like, I think that's probably a little too harsh for a star player like that. Quality Kev, what's good, my guy? How do you feel about D-Rose retirement? Feels like one of the biggest what ifs in the NBA history, but at least he'll always have that MVP trophy on his wall. Yeah, if he doesn't get hurt, who knows? What happens? Or if he was on like a team that was, that was in contention for titles every year, but that injury was, those knees were just took him out. The amount of torque that he put on his knees, it was like a running back in basketball, man. His knees couldn't hold it. Incredible player. Was very, very good. And his body betrayed him. And in so kind of just took away and robbed us potentially of much, much bigger and better career than what he actually had. And that sucks to see. It definitely sucks to see. But it happened. And I definitely think that we missed out on some legacy there. As a result of it, for sure. So once again, you are watching and listening to Empire Jeff TV. I am your host, Empire Jeff, here talking about all things NBA, as well as why I feel that Anthony Davis being a surefire MVP candidate for the Los Angeles Lakers is key to the Lakers having a great season, having a better season than last year, and moving up their chances of a higher seed in the Western Conference playoffs. If AD delivers on that, then the voters kind of have no choice but deliver on putting him in those rankings and giving him a chance. And if he is in that conversation, then that means the Lakers are in the conversation for contention. And that is the true goal. But you got to have baby steps before, you got to crawl before you walk. And first things first is AD having an MVP type season for that all to happen, man. So On that note, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for the night. I appreciate you guys tuning in. You could be anywhere in the world, but you here with me. I always appreciate that. Drop a like on the video if you have not done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. If you're coming in late and you're watching the replay, drop a comment in the comment section. Want to see what you guys think. Want to hear how you feel. As always, man, getting excited as this season gets closer. Excited for this Dodger game tomorrow. So go Dodgers, go Lakers. Enjoy the rest of your guys' evening. Enjoy your Tuesday. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Stay safe. I'm out of here, y'all.